Good afternoon. Thank you once again for coming back to another Amazon Ads webinar. Today, the topic is regarding how you can be more successful for your Prime Day, advertising tips and strategy. Today, we have Hui Qi here with us. All right, so I'm going to run through just some administrative stuff before passing back to Hui Qi. All right. All right, some important notice to share. And the webinar will be recorded, all right, but the Q&A section will only be exclusively for live attendees who are sharing your time with us to the end. All right, so we will share the recording of the content on our official YouTube playlist. So if you have not subscribed, do remember to subscribe to it so that when I release the video, you will see it appearing on your YouTube feeds. All right, and then any question, let us know in the question box, all right, on your right-hand side if you did not change anything. And last but not least, any information that we share is accurate as of today. So if you are watching this recording a few months down the road, especially for things like policy updates, pricing stuff, I would strongly encourage you to go on to our online resources like Seller University, Seller Central Help, or even the Amazon Ads Console Help to find out the most updated information. Well, last but not least, just to share, the Seller Education team actually conducts a few of these learning programs, things like Seller University and also live webinar, the one you're attending now, where we collaborate with internal teams such as Amazon Ads team, and also sometimes we invite account managers and program manager on specific features to join, as well as external speakers to come and share their insights.
And thank you everyone for joining Jin Liang and I on this nice little Thursday for some Prime Day strategies. So I think Prime Day is a super exciting peak season that is coming up. It's a key shopping, I would say, the signature shopping program for Amazon users, Amazon shoppers worldwide. And I think this is the key, what we call peak season, where your sales peak, your impressions peak, people paying attention to your brands will also peak and come on to Amazon to start browsing, adding to cart, clicking on your advertisements, and then making the final decision on that purchase, right? Which product to buy and with whatever deals that you're running. So we usually have quite a lot of series on Prime Day. You can find it on our YouTube channel as well as Seller U, Jin Liang has mentioned. However, of course, like every year, I want to reintroduce, some of the top tips that we have for Prime Day when it comes to advertising. And secondly, I also want to plug that apart from online webinars, we also have a special offline workshop for Prime Day itself, hosted in Singapore. So we actually have an offline workshop where also Jin Liang, you will see Jin Liang and I in real life. It's a 3-day workshop where essentially, for newer sellers, we highly recommend that you go for the first day. And then for more experienced sellers, we recommend you to go on the second day for the workshop. So essentially, the workshop will cover top advertising tips in a lot more detail. It will be like a classroom format. There will be a lot more advanced tips. We are actually inviting, for example, service providers to share, real life case studies that they've used for their clients for, bidding tactics on Prime Day when it becomes more competitive. And then subsequently, we also have, we're actually bringing some of the top Chinese sellers that we are in contact with, but they're also trainers because they become very mature sellers and advertisers already. So they are coming to Singapore to like share their top tips as well in terms of how, for example, Chinese sellers navigate Prime Day advertising as well. So this is a preview for an overarching Prime Day strategy for today. But I also recommend, if you are based in Singapore and you have time, please join us for our offline workshop. I will share the QR code at the end of the session for you guys to register for the event. And it's super exciting. You'll also meet other sellers from around the region as well as in Singapore. And it's the best time to network with other sellers in Singapore as well. So let's get started on Prime Day 2024. So again, for advertising, what is the goal for most of our advertisers when it comes to building your brand on Prime Day? For us, I think, of course, sales is always number one in our consideration, right? But I think second opportunity for a lot of our sellers will, or your advertisers, will be definitely to build your brand during Prime Day. So apart from, calling out that you're running 50% off or buy one get one free bundle deals, I think it's also a great chance, where a lot of shoppers are coming onto Prime Day to look at different brands, right? They might have seen, some of the reviews online. Maybe they got targeted from any of your off Amazon marketing, and they're trying to look for brands, right? And I highly recommend our advertisers this as a chance to build brand awareness. And this is the season to start, so that the velocity lasts throughout the entire year for you to reach, like, all these engaged shoppers that are looking for new brands, browsing for new products to buy, where we really see supercharged boost in terms of visibility and boost in consideration for your products and your brands when you advertise during Prime Day. So we often see that people's sales double, triple, but not just in terms of sales, right? Getting yourself in front of new to brand customers that have never seen you before, which is visibility, you'll see 2 times boost. You'll also be able to convince people to buy your product when you tell a brand story, when you show your product video, for example. That's a great opportunity for you to build your brand with Prime Day. So how to actually prepare for Prime Day, right? I think 3 key aspects. Number one is definitely before advertising, the key step before actually, immediately launching ads is actually to be prepared for your products. So right now is actually a super good timing for all of the people on the call. We know that you are slowly preparing for Prime Day. Number one step right now to take today is definitely to prepare for your products ahead, to check if the inventory of your products is sufficient. Number two, I think the listing page, which you will see in so many of the previous webinars we have run, the key to conversion, for example, is actually having a very strong listing page, very strong product detail page, whatever you call it, essentially the product listing page. I think this is the time right now to do an audit, right? To really hold your listing pages to the highest standards, to see if you can refresh any A+ content. Can you refresh any of your supplementary images? Is there any way to make your hero image even more high resolution, even more clearer, so that essentially when people are ready to make the final purchase, your listing page secures it for you? And then, of course, number three is to really take a look at who are the customers that you're building a brand for, or who are you trying to target, and how you can actually reach new to brand customers, right? Maybe you're already selling pretty well, but it's always great to have more customers, people that have never seen you before. It's best to do, competitive or category analysis ahead of Prime Day, and then build a look and A/B test some of your experiments to see if you are able to secure new to brand customers. Number two is actually to be prepared for your advertising. So for newer sellers, of course, we actually recommend you start launching ads 4 to 6 weeks ahead before Prime Day, so that you get a sense of advertising first, rather than hard launching your first ever campaign on Prime Day. And then learn about your Amazon ad solutions, and then of course develop what we call the Prime Day advertising strategy, which I will share in this session today. And then number three is, of course, be prepared for your brand, right? For very new sellers, or people who haven't even registered, having brand registry is just going to give you so much more possibilities in terms of building your brand, being able to take advantage of other solutions like sponsored brands or sponsored display, where you can have more advertising tactics. And then, of course, you might want to take an audit of, for example, your brand store as well, leading up towards Prime Day. So Jinliang also has a lot of series on stores optimization. But for example, some best practices on Prime Day, you already want to start building, for example, certain landing or pages or widgets on your store, which call out maybe your best sellers, which call out your Prime Day deals. So these are something that you need to start preparing early ahead, before, during Prime Day itself. So those are free brand tools, but in terms of brand building, we also have other solutions, which, for example, are like sponsored brands and sponsored display, which you can take a look at our YouTube channel to get an overarching view. And here I will dive into, essentially our 3-phase strategy, which we will share with you for Prime Day. So how to actually simplify, and it's so scary, it's Prime Day, like how do I approach it? You can think of it in 3 phases, right? We like to call it the Prime Day lead up, where essentially shoppers actually start preparing already before Prime Day. Not just you as an advertiser, even the shopping people, shoppers will actually like begin like some kind of research, product research, online browsing. So this is also the time where we as advertisers have to prepare for the preparation. Due to the influx of traffic that is going to start increasing as Prime Day comes, it is also important for you to start adjusting your bidding, your targeting, as well as your budgeting strategy, even before Prime Day, 4 to 6 weeks before Prime Day. And then during Prime Day itself, you will see that that will be the big bang, right? Millions of shoppers will actually flock to Prime Day to start capturing the deals and to start making that final purchase. And then of course, not just after Prime Day, right? Like during Prime Day is important, but we can't forget about what comes after Prime Day. So we actually often see that shoppers will still continue shopping after Prime Day. They might have forgotten to buy it. The momentum carries over to after Prime Day as well. And it's also a great time to take a look at an audit of how you have performed on Prime Day, so that it prepares you for subsequent deal seasons in the later half of the year. So this is the 3 phase shopper cycle. And I will just pause here. I highly recommend, like, our viewers to take a screenshot in terms of, as a kind of a handout or a reminder for you, how to really like capture the different objectives that you will have during Prime Day, right? So I would say for during Prime Day lead up, instead of, for example, when you're preparing for Prime Day, your goal shouldn't be to secure a lot of sales. Actually, the opposite is actually the true thing. Less shoppers will actually make a purchase leading up towards Prime Day because they're waiting for the deals, right? Instead, you will actually experience, for example, more impressions, more clicks. You might notice that your ACOS might start to increase leading up towards Prime Day because people are researching. You're going to get a lot more traffic and people, browsing the sites on Amazon.com. They might click on your ad, but they could be waiting for the deal for Prime Day before they actually make the final purchase. Does that mean that we turn off all advertising? No. It's actually the best time to start establishing some brand awareness, establish brand exposure, and get as much impressions as possible, and shout out that your brand is available on Amazon. And then you will actually try to optimize and secure that sales during Prime Day with your deals. So for Prime Day lead up, actually we recommend sellers to pay attention to key metrics like impressions and new to brand customers, which are all metrics that you can download from our reports on Ads Console. For sponsored ads, here you want to set, what kind of product and brand goals you have. You want to start optimizing your product detail pages, and you'll want to set your budget as well as your bid leading up towards Prime Day. Over here, oftentimes, for example, we will recommend that you slowly start increasing your budget and your bids already, because as I mentioned, people are researching. They know that, oh, Prime Day is coming up soon. I'm researching, I'm clicking on different ads. So you'll see that actually your budget gets used up faster. You might notice that bids start increasing because other competitors also see this trend and they start increasing their bids to secure visibility. So you need to prepare really well before Prime Day, 4 to 6 weeks before. And then, of course, add keywords. The best practice here that I recommend for sellers is, apart from your existing ad campaigns, it's important for you to create a prime season campaign. This is a temporary campaign that will last only for Prime Day lead up as well as Prime Day, that period. Essentially, you might want to consider putting a certain amount of budget. For example, if for example Hui Qi, which is me, and I'm selling, for example, kitchen pots, I might want to create a campaign dedicated to, for example, kitchen pots on deal, kitchen pots Prime Day deals, kitchen pot prime discounts, for example, certain keywords like this to capture the seasonality trend, right? It's the sale season, it is Prime Day season. Keywords such as this, it's important to create a small separate campaign. Of course, you don't have to put all of your budget behind it, but it's important to set up this separate campaign so that you get any incremental traffic from people looking for deals, people looking for your product plus maybe on sale, your product on discount, your product Prime Day deals. So those are some of the seasonal keywords that I also recommend sellers to start preparing ahead before Prime Day. And then, of course, during Prime Day itself, number one goal, of course, is clicks and sales, converting all these people. So here again, I will recommend sellers to keep looking at your budgets and your bids. You will see on our YouTube channel that we have a budget bidding strategy playback from last year. Here, a lot of people are flocking to Amazon.com. So you will notice that people click on your ads a lot more during Prime Day. And this is where your budget or your advertising budget might start to be used up faster than usual. So maybe probably previously you set, a $20 a day USD budget. But we actually usually recommend our advertisers to almost double your budgets, for example, or look at the budgets page to ensure that you are constantly in budget and you don't go out of budget. So when you go out of budget, your advertising campaigns get shut off and you will actually lose all that traffic. So that is the key best practice for during Prime Day. You need to be constantly on top of your budgets to make sure that your campaigns are not being shut off. We will also take a look at our bidding strategy. You will want to ensure that your bids are competitive, right? So it's very simple. Take your bids, compare it with CPC on your ads console. Ensure that you're always 10% to 20% higher than CPC. Start optimizing to ensure that for Prime Day, you are competitive, you are winning the placements on your hero keywords. You want to really follow the performance of, the best sellers within your category. And then, of course, like be aware of your inventory levels during Prime Day. And over here for Prime Day lead up and Prime Day, the base is definitely right. The foundation that you need to set right now, this week, for example, is definitely for example, right, for stores to create dedicated sub pages for your Prime Day already. And how you can actually drive traffic or drive people towards your brand store or to drive them to the deal page on your store is actually via a sponsored brands campaign. So you can actually use the store spotlight feature essentially to drive traffic towards your store as well. And another separate free brand tool that you definitely should leverage is posts. So post is essentially the free Instagram like tool that is housed within the Amazon app. These are immediately shoppable posts, right? And I highly recommend sellers, to use any of your custom creatives, any lifestyle images of your products. It's free, so why not use it, right? Just blast your post, honestly, for Prime Day, and essentially gain any kind of incremental traffic for your brand. So that is the baseline foundation for Prime Day preparation and during Prime Day. For Prime Day lead out, I think it's very instinctive for a lot of sellers when I speak to them. Oh, after Prime Day, I just shut off all my campaigns. However, I actually recommend our sellers that during Prime Day lead out, you shouldn't turn off your campaigns immediately. Of course, you can start reducing your budgets a little bit because, of course, you will set higher budgets for Prime Day. You will start increasing your bids for Prime Day. You can reduce them slowly, 10 to 20%, slowly wind down your budgets and your bids. However, don't shut off your campaigns altogether because there will be people that forgot to make the purchase, right? And you will want to, for example, check the hot selling categories, your campaign performance, review your budget and lower it, but don't turn it off. If you see that any keywords are highly performing, right, just sustain those bids for at least a week or 2 weeks to ensure that you capture any leftover sales from the momentum of Prime Day season. And here you will definitely see that you will be able to secure quite a bit of additional conversions, additional sales, even after Prime Day. So essentially, the keynote for Prime Day is just don't forget. The second best practice actually for Prime Day is actually number 2 is to take a look at measurement, like how you are performing. So we will have actually a reports deep dive webinar to really just take a look at deep dive on how to review your post Prime Day performance as an example. And then number 3 is actually it's a great opportunity for you to look at retargeting, right? So a lot of sellers, how to capture those people who might have clicked on your ad, they might have seen your ad, but they have just simply forgotten to make that purchase during Prime Day. Here you can use sponsored display, where essentially under audience targeting, you can actually do views retargeting clicks retargeting. So you can actually see, for example, sellers that are actually previously viewed your ad, you can actually retarget them so that essentially you just remind them, hey, you forgot, you looked at this ad and you can purchase it. There's also purchase remarketing, meaning that they have previously already purchased your product. So for example, certain categories like beauty products, supplements, for example, they actually have like a repurchase cycle, right? Maybe the seller still has stock of their vitamins, for example, but you just want to remind them, hey, why not top up and secure this good deal? So you can use sponsored display purchase remarketing to actually remind people to repurchase their products and secure a good deal as well. So that's a very overarching view of Prime Day. So definitely let's deep dive into each section of the Prime Day. So lead up, here I say 2 to 4 weeks prior, but I highly recommend sellers to start as soon as possible, 4 to 6 weeks, even before Prime Day, to start optimizing all your listings, optimizing your store, optimizing your store sub pages as well. So you will see that during the warm up page, it's where actually shoppers really come to essentially browse for product. And 75% of our customers actually said that they are more likely to actually buy products that they discovered leading up towards Prime Day, which is like very simple, right? They could be seeing a review online on Pinterest, or they're looking for inspo on Pinterest. They could have been researching articles about the best kind of like home goods that are ready to buy. For beauty users, they might be exposed on TikTok or Facebook, Instagram, essentially on what kind of beauty products, what are the best beauty products to buy in the upcoming Prime Day season. So essentially, the warm-up stage is very important to ensure that your brand name and your brand awareness is out there. And essentially, how to get prepared, right? So 8 weeks in advance, internal Amazon data shows that essentially advertisers who started, so you need to start early, start your sponsored products campaign early, 8 weeks prior to Prime Day, especially for your new products. They actually see a 85% higher return on their ad investment and 100% higher conversion rate versus people who just launched it on the event day itself. Number 2, the best practice is to set a sponsored brands campaign with no end date to ensure that you're continuously communicating your brand to shoppers. And why sponsored brands? Sponsored brands is actually very geared towards top of search results, right? For sponsored brands, store spotlight or product collection, you will see that it's at the top of the page. For sponsored brands video, you'll see that it's in the middle of the search results page. So when people are researching, right, I'm searching for the best sunscreen, for example, to buy during Prime Day. Where do people actually go? Of course, sometimes they go to direct product listings, but most of the time it happens on search, right? And you want to ensure that your brand starts appearing on the search results page. So how to do that? I think actually sponsored brands is also a very powerful tool for you to try. And definitely, essentially, it's great for you to not just use sponsored brands. It's actually highly recommended for you to start using lifestyle images, custom images, and adding it to your sponsored brands and sponsored displays so that you reach multiple shoppers with multiple sponsored branding type of formats. Essentially, the goal here is to drive brand awareness, right? You really want to essentially avoid just, for example, hey, I'm running a sale product. My product is super duper cheap, which is great. But of course, having the brand building, showing people like, the beautiful images that you've created beforehand, this is going to even secure that consideration and secure the awareness leading up towards the sale for your Prime Day. And then, of course, the other big data point that we also saw is that for advertisers who started sponsored display campaigns 2 weeks before Prime Day, and who use both product as well as audience targeting. So product targeting is, for example, targeting maybe a competitor. So you're taking any kind of incremental traffic from products that are similar, but you have a competitive advantage over. Audience targeting is what I meant by views remarketing, purchase remarketing. The other third one is using pre-built Amazon audiences. So using the example of my kitchen pot, for example, how do I actually reach an even greater pool of people that are using kitchen pots, right? So this is what we meant by early on, you want to start building who are your customer profiles. Instinctively, we think of maybe moms, right? moms that like cook a lot at home. But of course, there's so many other people that you can target. There could be new homeowners, people who just bought a home and they want to buy kitchen pots. There could be, for example, very expert cooks, right? Cooking professionals that want to buy kitchen pots. So there are already amazing Amazon pre-built audiences on sponsored display that you can explore in your ads console. And again, our research shows that if you use both types of targeting, both product as well as audience targeting versus one targeting strategy during Prime Day, your impressions increase by up to 3 times and your return on investment increases by 16%. So it's important to start early, to try. If you're not familiar with sponsored display, just log into your ads console to see what functionalities are available so that you're aware of the possibilities as well. So number 2, essentially, you really want to prepare and build brand awareness. And you'll notice that I'll keep saying brand awareness because it's more important to build, for example, a brand loyalty as well as establish a strong brand, essentially. And there are a lot of free brand tools that you can leverage on Amazon. So one key interesting point is that, advertisers with brand stores, they see higher return shoppers. So this is not just about capturing Prime Day, it's even continuing after Prime Day, how to build a long-term, like conversion, virtuous cycle of conversion after Prime Day. Number 1 is to use a brand store, which is free. And essentially, brand store, interesting fact, is the only place on Amazon where there are no external advertising on it. So it's a closed vacuum dedicated only for your brand. So you can use it like a product catalog. You can use it, to tell your brand mission, purpose. There are sustainable, organic, mission, purpose that is important to you. It's the opportunity for you to tell the story. Otherwise, you can even just use it as a product catalog and essentially get people to directly see your full portfolio of products as well. So this is a great place for you to direct traffic to. And for the brand store, we highly recommend that you build, beautiful custom images to build up your brand store. And they often see high customer orders, up to 17 times new customer orders, 18 times higher total number of units sold, and 7 times the sales during Prime Day versus advertisers without a brand store. So this is a great landing page. Just think of it as a great landing page to direct all your advertising towards, where then again there are no external advertisers stealing your traffic, right? So I won't dive too deep, but you can take a look at, the key pain points or key tips to create a high quality brand store, right? It's essentially, definitely, we highly recommend you using videos, for example. Number 2 is to actually drive traffic. I've said it so many times. Use sponsored brands, for example, store spotlight or product collection to drive traffic to your store. So you can actually add 3 sub pages, meaning, for example, if I'm a home brand, I sell kitchen pots, I sell blenders, and I sell, spoons, for example. So you can actually direct people to your categories as well, not just on individual products. So very flexible, rich, custom type of ad format. And then, of course, to add shoppable images, carousel, product collection widgets, as well as, for example, your bestseller or your Prime Day deals sub pages towards your brand store. Number 2, free brand tool. Again, adopt the 6 best practices of posts to create high quality posts. You can use AI tools now to create, essentially beautiful lifestyle images. Sponsored brands also has the AI image generator right now, which I think our sellers should experiment with. But again, for a lot of our sellers, we also know that you've created beautiful images outside, maybe for your Instagram, maybe for your Facebook. These are all images that you should just simply leverage directly onto posts for free, and it's directly shoppable on the Amazon app itself. So it's super convenient, and it's also going to help drive and increase more traffic towards your product. So these are essentially free tools that you don't have to pay for. So highly recommend our sellers to try 2 to 4 weeks, or even better, 6 to 8 weeks before Prime Day. So during Prime Day, in our second stage, right, what is the goal here? Of course, it's definitely to drive sales, but you'll hear me saying this key metric called new to brand. So essentially, even for very, very mature sellers, right, what if you start hitting a plateau, or what what if you notice that your sales has stabilized, but it's not surging or increasing dramatically? That's because you need to start reaching to new to brand customers, people who have never seen your brand. So here you might want to look at your new to brand metrics, which you can see on Ads Console. Essentially, you want to drive consideration on Prime Day to new to brand customers. So here is to get even more sales, incremental sales, apart from purchase cycles or just your existing customers. So very good news is that 82% of our Amazon customers said that they are very likely to learn about new brands during Prime Day. And how do they learn about new brands during Prime Day? I would say number one way is actually sponsored brands. So now sponsored brands is very, very powerful. It has sponsored brands, lifestyle, custom images where you can put your product collection, your product portfolio, or individual products that you want to highlight. Number two, actually a very underutilized format for a lot of advertisers is actually sponsored brands video. So with video, it's a longer format. You can actually reach people with your brand story. It doesn't have to be, even just like a TVC or a YouTube type of ad, right? It can even just be a beautiful like product shot showing the functionalities of your product, how effective it is. Even that is better than a static image already, right? So sponsored brands video is something that I highly recommend our sellers to try. And the new development this year is not just that, previously all the sponsored brands video on Amazon were, a horizontal video format, 4:3. However, essentially now we also have launched a vertical video functionality. So for example, if you're already creating vertical videos, maybe for TikTok, maybe for Instagram stories, you can simply already leverage it directly onto Amazon. So vertical videos, which is, the new trend for short video consumption among a lot of the younger generation right now. We also recommend you to try using sponsored brands vertical video, which is the new kind of a adaptation for our sponsored brands video format. So how to do that? Number one, of course, if your purpose is to promote your new products throughout the peak season, here you need to start harvesting, right? How to harvest or how to fully capture that peak season traffic? Number one is just don't miss out. Essentially, what I mean by that is to increase your advertising budget, because it's very likely that your advertising budget is going to be spent super fast during Prime Day, just because there are that many more customers flocking to the Amazon.com to look for new brands. So we highly recommend that your ad campaigns stay active. You can double to triple your advertising budget to ensure that your advertising campaigns don't get shut off. Number two, definitely you also want to take a really close look at your bid price, essentially how much you're bidding, especially on your hero campaigns and your hero products. And over here, you want to always be hyper vigilant, compare it to your CPC to ensure that your bids are competitive versus essentially, your other competitors. So CPC actually gives you a view of what your competitors are bidding. It's an average perspective, or a 7-day average of the winning bid price. So essentially, it gives you a perspective of whether costs or people are bidding higher leading up towards Prime Day. So that's something that you need to constantly pay attention with. And statistics show that brands with sponsored ads that promote their ASIN during the Prime Day, it really helps to increase shoppers' consideration. It's going to help you boost visibility leading up towards Prime Day. Number two, if your goal actually is to really create a brand and really to tell your brand story during Prime Day, then as I mentioned, using sponsored brands will be the key tool to leverage if you haven't already. So we have multiple different formats under sponsored brands. There's product collection, there's store spotlight, and there's video. So you can actually increase your detail page views as well as your conversion rate by setting up sponsored brands, and we also oftentimes combine it with sponsored display, so that essentially it's a better together strategy to capture more impressions and more traffic. So during Prime Day, people who launch 2 different formats for sponsored brands actually increase their units sold by up to 2 times versus advertisers who only use 1 format. So as I mentioned, as a top tip from someone who has been working on ads for almost 2 years, sponsored brands is actually a very underutilized tool, but it's going to really help accelerate your ranking on the search results page. So you'll notice that almost all the placements on sponsored brands is very much geared towards top to middle. for the search results page. And if you take a look at your placement strategy, if you notice that you're getting a lot of good conversions from search, sponsored brands is the way to go. So that's the second tip. Number 3 is definitely to keep a track, right? I think a lot of our sellers don't just advertise purely on Amazon. There are increasingly a lot of sellers that advertise off Amazon. So you could be using an influencer in the US to talk about your product. You could be running, for example, Instagram ads on Instagram channels and directing people towards the Amazon store. So I highly recommend sellers to take a look at our Amazon attribution function, where you can actually generate a link to track the effectiveness of your off Amazon activities and how it links towards driving sales on Amazon. So that's the third tip for our sellers, which you can find out more also in our offline workshop. So here is the 4 quick summary tips for how to run your advertising during the Prime Day period, right? I think the first tip is this is the time to like level up. If you're only running sponsored products, I think now is the time to try sponsored brands. Because it gives you so much more creativity in terms of telling a brand story or capturing that top of search placement. So if you have more than 3 products, for example, or you really want to tell your brand story, highly recommend you to adopt multiple ad products to build a full funnel strategy. So our research shows that people who use multiple ad products within the Amazon ad products actually see their ROAS increase by up to 50%. Number 2, I would say the number 1 most underutilized ad format is sponsored brands video. So of course it's a bit more effort. You have to produce a slightly nicer video for this ad format. However, if you actually take a look on the Amazon.com page or on your mobile phone, you will see that the video is super attention grabbing. So when you're searching and you see, for example, on laptop, it's 5 different product listing pages on the search result page, you'll notice that sponsored brand video actually occupies the slot of 5 sponsored product placements. So actually, if you think about it in a supermarket format, you're almost occupying an entire aisle. You're occupying the entire shelf versus only occupying one advertising little slot, right? Versus sponsored product. So sponsored brands video is actually one way to really grab attention from top of search and to really capture eyeballs during Prime Day. And you'll see that people who did not launch, versus those who did launch a video actually saw 200% more units sold, 200% more clicks, and up to almost again 200% more impressions, simply because it's very high on the search results page. You capture eyeballs with that full hour kind of occupying strategy. And then number 3 is definitely to use a combination of the different targeting types in sponsored display. So sponsored display not just gives you, you can target competitors or you can target, complementary products. It also actually gives you so much flexibility in terms of finding new customers, right? This is where, you can use Amazon audiences. You can find, possibly the new moms, a new demographic to target for your products, or you can simply use it as a remarketing tool. Maybe you're already a mature seller and you just want to remind people who have previously viewed your ad to repurchase your ad during Prime Day, because now you're running a great deal. So we also see very high ROAS on sponsored display, where essentially you are trying to capture much more traffic towards your stores. Number 3 is this is the most important. Actually, the last point, number 4, is the most important tool because it's free. So for sellers who have a store, please try to optimize it as much as possible. So I won't dwell too much on this. I've mentioned it a couple of times, but people who have actually adopted best practices, 4 best practices, receive actually 5 times more visits, 4 times more visits from former shoppers within the 60 days that they've optimized the stores. So highly recommend our sellers to optimize their store starting from now, and you can stay tuned to any of Jin Liang's webinars to how to really build a high quality store. And last but not least is the Prime Day lead out phase. So actually the key point and the only one message I want to land after Prime Day is repurchase. You actually want to ensure that firstly, your loyal fans repurchase your product during Prime Day because they're getting a good deal and they need to know about it. Number 2 is definitely to drive repurchase of people who might have seen your ad. So you've already invested in ads before Prime Day, leading up towards Prime Day, and of course during Prime Day, but somehow people have forgotten. Then this is the time to retarget them and remind them that, hey, there is this event, please repurchase the product. So as we mentioned, research internally, we've shown almost half of customers said that they are likely to repurchase even after Prime Day. And then of course, then we also see that 31% of interviewed customers say that they may or are likely to purchase the same product even after the Prime Day event ends, even if it's not promoted. So why not, right? Just retarget, and most likely they will convert as well. Number 3 is that half of customers actually rely on alerts, right? Alerts like ads to actually remind them to repurchase after Prime Day as well. So that is where number 1, if there's only one takeaway again for Prime Day lead out, is to repurchase. How to do repurchase? Sponsored display, views, and purchase retargeting. So that's the only key takeaway that we have to try for after Prime Day. So essentially, again, we really want to take advantage of Prime Day to really boost our conversions and boost our consideration. So if we want to promote new products, in the after Prime Day section, continue your advertising campaigns. Don't turn it off completely, because turning it off means that you're going, you're basically blacking out your brand to all the customers, right? So anyone that might, hey, I've forgotten to buy, you might be losing any kind of like leftover sales. Number 2, if your goal is essentially still to really call out your brand, this is a long-term goal, right? Across the entire year, you want to slowly build your brand, then don't miss out on this Prime Day momentum. So as I mentioned, use views remarketing in sponsored display to adjust your audience targeting objective, and then essentially advertise your product title pages with product targeting as well. Of course, then the second tip here is then to slowly wind down your ad budgets, adjust your keywords and your products used, and then of course wind down bids to a slightly lower level so that your ad cost doesn't is massively increase even after Prime Day. So that's the quick tip for Prime Day lead out. And then of course, you just want to ensure that baseline your free tools such as your brand stores, your posts, your Amazon attribution links are still active. And then potentially you can start removing the content that you set for Prime Day. So any kind of limited edition discounts or limited deals, you can actually turn it off in the Prime Day lead out phase. So very quickly, as a quick summary, number 3, 3 key points for our Prime Day strategy quick tips is that you should be prepared now to get ready for Prime Day, right? So number 1, the really kind of key takeaway that I want to land with people who have attended today is definitely to use different ad products, right? I know sponsored products is the most straightforward, but as I mentioned, when you go to the search results page, it's one advertised listing. If you use sponsored brands, you can occupy the space of 5 listings or the entire aisle on your mobile phone. So that is where you essentially want to start securing even more visibility and find more new to brand customers, a new customer profile that you're targeting, or even more, just to retarget audiences that may have seen your ad, but they haven't actually made the final purchase. So we highly recommend sellers to use combine multiple ad products to achieve your different advertising objectives. Number 2 is actually to make good use of budget rules to ensure that your campaigns stay active. So if you haven't already, I highly recommend you go to the advertising console, take a look at the budgets page. There is a budgets tab. Essentially, there is where you can really easily keep track of whether your ad campaigns are going out of budget or not, and the average time you're in budget. So for average time in budget, we want to ensure that we're always 75% time in budget so that your campaigns stay active. And if it's not, we can start increasing our budgets by 10 to 20%. If not, if you have the ability, I would actually double the budget for Prime Day itself. And then number 3 is definitely to keep track. Amazon gives you a lot of ability to look at data and to keep track of your performance in real time. So take a look at brand metrics, brand Amazon brand analytics, where you can actually take a look, for example, at top search terms that are trending during Prime Day. And number 3 is to use Amazon attribution to track your off Amazon activities to see how it's helping you grow your sales on Amazon. So that's the 3 key tips for our sellers today. And yes, so of course, apart from just this online essentially webinar, we are running actually a deep dive workshop offline. So it says Singapore Prime Day Ads Week, but of course we're also open to any Southeast Asia, any sellers that want to come and join. And two key dates, right? Number one, 12th of June is for what we would say are a bit more newbie sellers. You're starting out in your selling journey. Please come down and we will introduce to you, fundamental tips for success, like a preview of today. For very experienced sellers, we highly recommend our experienced sellers to come during 13th of June. So essentially, we will present much more advertising advanced tactics for you. And apart from myself, Jin Liang, we also have top seller trainers both from China as well as in Singapore, sharing their best practices, their case studies, their tips with you. And it's also a great chance for you to actually network with other sellers during the day itself. So scan the QR code, or take a picture and press on the QR code when you have time to register for our Prime Day Ads Week. So it's offline, and it will be held at the Amazon office in Asia Square in Singapore. So highly recommend our sellers to register here. And of course, definitely, we recommend our sellers who prefer learning online that there will be a Ads Knowledge Guidebook download. And we also have our 2024 Amazon Ads webinars for the rest of the year. And we highly recommend you to register for upcoming sessions as well. So this is the end of our Prime Day strategy session. We will deep dive more in the offline session if you're happy to join us. And also stay tuned and take a look at our YouTube page, for playbacks of any of our webinars co-hosted together with Jin Liang.
All right, thank you, Hui Chi. Thank you so much. Yeah, good. Let's share the QR code again for them to scan. For this very interesting in-person event that you can, besides seeing us in person, you can interact with other sellers as well. So if you want to know what's the topic, you should scan inside and see, look at the topics. If you are not sure whether you are considering yourself new or your experience, you should go in and take a look at the agenda. One quick question for Hui Chi is I'm wondering if I'm a seller that doesn't know where do I belong to, can I actually attend both? I think you're on mute. Sorry.
Yeah, I think I'm on mute.
All right.
Yes. So yes, you can actually attend both, but I mean also just to be very transparent with our sellers, there will be a little bit of overlap if you attend both days, because for example, fundamentals of this Prime Day strategy, we will recap a little bit. And essentially, we actually recommend you to meet sellers of kind of like within your kind of tenure group, so that you actually experience the same pain points, right? You'll notice that, for example, if you're very worried about ACOS, or you've never set up store before, we will, for example, host roundtables, meaning like small group sessions where the top pain points, for example, e-cost optimization or how to set up my first sponsored brands. You will be able to meet other sellers that are experiencing this, and we can guide you all together. Versus, for example, possibly if you're super new and you go to a super experienced seller and you ask them like, oh, like I've never done it, like how to do it. It's a bit of a mismatch. So of course, we're happy like for you to join both. Definitely, if you're free on both days, please come. However, for a more optimized experience, we will actually recommend you to go. If for example you're selling 1 year under, you're very unsure, you've never launched an ad campaign, to go for the first day, where we will be covering a bit more basic content, a bit more hold your hands, and walk you through the entire process, versus the second day where we'll be sharing like super advanced tactics as well, or case studies. We've requested our kind of seller trainers to share a bit more advanced tactics on the second day. Yep. But happy to just have us join our events.
Cool. Thank you. So looking forward to see you all here. And the next slide, I think there are some great content that they can download as well, right? There's a ads book or something.
Yep. So we have actually like a like a really step-by-step ads knowledge guidebook download that you can actually download on the left here, which is our knowledge guidebook. And then the second QR code is, for more ads webinars, right? So after Prime Day, how to look at reports, how to lower your ACOS. Those are like key topics that we will cover in the subsequent sessions after this. Yeah. And
Okay.
I think there are quite a lot of questions, Junliang.
Yes, I saw a few questions. Let me go through that. If at the same time right now, if I can take the control, I have some Prime Day related info. Let's check it out. You're excited? All right, so I hope you all can see this very important information. We have very important dates. Okay, so there is a QR code again. Sorry, a lot of QR code because that's the only way you can go to the link directly since we are on a webinar. So we have a Prime Day sort of like a micro page set up already. So there are some key dates just to share with all of you here. So first off is the PED. PED is the Prime Exclusive Discount Sourcing Window, means you can actually submit your Prime Exclusive discount for Prime Day. Now already, I think it's open up already. So the window will close usually a week before Prime Day. All right, so don't ask me when is Prime Day because I don't know also, nobody knows for now when is the date. And then the next more important date is really about the FBA inbound cutoff date. All right, for you, if you're already selling, you might already think of replenishing, if not, you should take note of this date. Your inventory have to reach on the 20th June 2024 latest. All right, have to reach the fulfillment center of the of the store that you're selling into. Like if you're selling into the US, your inventory have to reach the US fulfillment center. Okay, this is very important. If not, if you run ads but you do not have sufficient stocks, it's kind of it doesn't work as well, right? You need to have enough inventory. Only then you can use ads to boost your visibility of your products. Right. So if you need some guidance in this microsite page, there is a scheduling guide that kind of teach you how to ensure that everything is done up properly. All right, so this is just to make sure that you notice there will be a checkbox that says this particular, for example, you're running a Prime exclusive discount that is for the Prime Day dates. You need to check there. All right, if not, your promotions may not appear. Right, most importantly, the cutoff date as well. Do make sure that your goods can be at the inventory or at the fulfillment center by 20th June so that there's sufficient time for the associate there to scan your item and make it available during the Prime Day days. Okay. All right, next, just quick share. We have other topics. If you are interested in June, there's a few topics regarding Prime Day, and of course there will be another ad session as well to share with you more on the reports and some of these calculation of how to look at your ads performance, right, by Hui Qi again as well, and then other checklists that it might be important for you to know. Also, we'll see you in the in-person session in our office as well. Okay, so now we can go to the Q&A. I saw some question. Okay, let me open up.